Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blitz Sports Media. My name is Ryan Lakeletter, and today we are back with another Miami Dolphins video, and this is about a 7-round mock draft here, tackling some of the top players the Miami Dolphins should be targeting. We know they've had a weird offseason. We have the Tyreek Hill drama. Is he going to be traded? Is he not going to be traded? Then he has some off-the-field problems as well. Teron Armstead, potential future Hall of Fame left tackle, retires, opening up a massive hole there. They obviously had a lot of guard problems as well last year, after losing players in free agency that opened up a lot of didn't open up as many running lanes in 2024. And then on the defensive side of the ball, Jalen Ramsey is officially on the trade block. He looks like he's no longer going to be back in Miami next season. So this team has a lot of work to do. We know they missed the playoffs. Tua was not healthy last season, and this team definitely wasn't as good as it was the prior year. So with the Miami Dolphins, I think they do need to go address, obviously, the cornerback problem is a big one. The open hole at left tackle is that's a biggest problem on this team. If they walk into 2025 without a left tackle, you can basically kiss their playoff chances goodbye. So that is a massive glaring need. And I think plugging and playing some other pieces like potentially a wide receiver, some tackle depth, interior defensive linemen, some guards. They have a lot of needs on this roster that need to be cleaned up with the amount of cap space they're spending on some of their top players. So let's hop right into this draft and see if we can rebuild this Miami Dolphins teams with the plethora of picks that they have. All right, let's hop right into this Miami Dolphins mock draft here. Now, we all know the Dolphins definitely have that need at left tackle. That is the glaring issue for them right now. Will Campbell, Membu are gone, who are my top two tackles on my board. That only leaves Kelvin Banks, and I am going to make sure Kelvin Banks is heading to the Miami Dolphins. I do think they will strongly consider Walter Nolan, Malachi Starks, and Mike Green, who are three really good impact players on the defensive side of the ball, who are probably better talents than Kelvin Banks and a better prospect than him. But I think Kelvin Banks and the positional need make a ton of sense for Miami. They could trade back, but it looks like, I think Colts go Tyler Warren, Falcons probably go edge rusher there. And then Cardinals, you could trade back to this 18 to 20 range right here for some of these teams willing to trade up and get your tackle. But I think you have to do it before Pittsburgh at 21. You have to do it before some of these other teams in the back half of the first if Miami decides to trade back. But Kelvin Banks Jr. is the clear top 3 tackle in this draft. Making sure you get him in the first round is a must for the Miami Dolphins. Now, the Dolphins have a ton of picks in this draft from what you guys we'll see here. And I think in the second round, it makes a ton of sense to go get a cornerback, considering the fact that Jalen Ramsey is on his way out and their cornerback position does not look very strong heading into next year. That leaves Benjamin Morrison here, who I think is a really good player. But I think Siobhan Ravel is the best corner available right now. And I think Ravel would make a ton of sense in Miami. Has really good upside as a 6'2", tall, athletic freak corner who could be a really good player in that Miami defense. Now heading into round 3. This is where things get a little bit interesting. I think Ashton is a pretty solid prospect here. I mean, the 20.9 pass rush win rate is very solid at 41 hurries and 42 hurries the year before. Definitely a guy they're going to be considering there. Cornerback again, Dorian Strong is a solid player as well that I really like. Savion Jones, another name. Scrolling down here, you have some other prospects that I think are intriguing as well. But I think what makes the most sense is going and getting an edge rusher. I know it's not one of their top needs right now, but it's definitely a position they are going to need to fill ahead of next season, and he makes a ton of sense right there. Heading into round 4, best available players, and I really do think the Miami Dolphins are in the market for a receiver, and I think just based on the Tyreek Hill offseason stuff, a guy like Kyle Williams makes a ton of sense if he's still available. 89.8 grade versus man coverage, really solid contested catch rate, really just good production last year at Washington State despite not having the best situation around him. I think getting a guy like him in round 4 gives them a high upside option at receiver, and it still allows them to go address other positions of need throughout this draft. Now you got a guy like RJ Mickens available at safety. Definitely intriguing there. Seth McLaughlin at center is another intriguing option, but he played all of center. I do think he could be a guard in the future from what I'm looking at, but we'll see what happens there. Brashad Smith is definitely a prospect that they would consider picking, but with their depth right there, it doesn't make a ton of sense right now. Kind of going through this, it does look like this could be a spot where the Dolphins could trade out and trade down, but we're going to go take, let's see here. I think Logan Brown's another really good player as well. I don't know if they go 2 tackles, Maybe. All right, we'll go Logan Brown and give him some more tackle depth there. I think that's a solid option for them, and looks like we still have some prospects available here. I think Ty Robinson filling that interior defensive lineman need is a big get for them. Really solid run defender. RJ Mickens and McLaughlin still seem to be hanging out right there, telling us to pick them. You got a guy like Quinn Ewers down here, and Dolphins definitely need a backup quarterback situation figured out there. It's definitely Luke Kandra is a guy that I really like. Let's see when we're picking next. We got a good gap between our picks. They probably miss out on Kandra, so I think we're going to take him, give the Miami Dolphins a guard that they can look forward to on that offensive line, because we know when they lost their guards, they really struggle with their zone blocking scheme, preventing them from getting an efficient ground game like they had in previous years. Now, another player I really like is Zot Frazier. 6 interceptions last year, 37.7 passer rating when targeted. Gives them a high upside corner option in round 7. Going through and looking at some of these other prospects here, you can take a flyer on a quarterback. Raheem Sanders is a really solid running back prospect that I think they could actually look at. I really do like Hunter Wohler here from the University of Wisconsin. Tested very well at the Combine. Had a really good 2023 season, and I think he could be better given a better situation around him. So I think that's a solid pick there. Heading into another round 7 pick here. It's going to be interesting. I think if Raheem Sanders is still available at this point, I really think they could strongly consider him and see if they could make him work in their system. And I think he's worth a flyer for the Dolphins, trying to get the new RB3 in this team. Heading down here, I think a linebacker probably makes sense. You got Garrett Dellinger from LSU, who had pretty good production this past season. Could be a solid option for a lot of teams. As far as linebackers go, you got Jalen Walker, who had really good production over his time at Indiana. Not necessarily the best athlete. And then you got Kai in here. Let's go with Jalen Walker. I know the athlete is a question mark, but pretty good player all around during his college career. Let's see how we did according to PFF. Probably pretty mid like we always do. We got a B, top 45%. I mean, this is an absolute haul. The Dolphins have a ton of picks here in the draft. Obviously, getting tackle, cornerback, defensive playmakers, and a few offensive pieces could be a really big get for this Miami Dolphins team. All right, folks, there it is. The Miami Dolphins massive draft haul for you guys. We go tackle. Kelvin Banks Jr. being that left tackle of the future for the Miami Dolphins. Basically, they're in a position where they need a tackle within the first 2 rounds. If they don't draft one, they are going to be screwed, and they're going to be forced to trade for one or find a guy off the streets that had no production last season. I think Banks is a pretty good prospect. Really solid on the run and the pass. I think he could be a really good player long-term for Miami and what their scheme is trying to do. Getting Siobhan Ravel in the 2nd round is an absolute win for this team. He is within my top 25 prospects in the draft. If he's available with the 48th pick in the draft, it would be an absolute steal for Miami. Get them a new cornerback one that reminds me a lot of Jalen Ramsey when he was coming out of college. You add some players like edge rushers in there, some interior defensive linemen, some cornerback and safety upside prospects later in this draft. They give them a real chance of having positional depth for the first time in a long time in Miami, which is something it feels like they always need. They really struggle with injuries these last 2 seasons on the defensive side of the ball. You get prospects too like Luke Kandra and Kyle Williams, who I absolutely love at the points that they were drafted. Williams in the 4th round makes a ton of sense for this team, giving them another option at wide receiver if Tyreek Hill happens to be traded or some injuries happen this season. And then Kandra gives them a guard option this year that could be a better play in their zone running scheme to give them more efficiency. Well, guys, there it is. All the picks for the Miami Dolphins. Let me know what you guys think. Can this haul for the Miami Dolphins give them a little bit of clarity and sense of relief heading into the 2025 season? Let me know down below. If you're interested in more mock draft content, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button for more Blitz Sports Media content, and I will catch you guys next time.